Hello everyone, JH Medium here and welcome to the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix. If you've been following my channel, you know that my biggest passion in life is traveling. But you might not know that my second biggest passion is without a doubt Formula 1. I've been following the sport for over 15 years already, watching nearly every single race. Today, I'll take you to my home race in Shanghai, which is actually the cheapest F1 race you can attend. But does cheap mean it's a bad event? Let's find out. During the week of the Grand Prix, there are actually so many F1 related events here in Shanghai, here in the city center. So today we're gonna go check out a few of them. We just finished visiting the Aston Martin and Glenfiddich whiskey pop-up store here near Nanjing Xilu, and they gave us some whiskey, drinking in the middle of the day. Probably not a good idea, but I mean it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? That's really smooth. And they also gave us a little keychain and a postcard to keep. So I guess these F1 sponsorship events really work. Now I know a lot about this whiskey brand that I otherwise wouldn't have known about. Right next to the Aston Martin pop-up, we have the Tag Heuer pop-up, who returned this year as the timekeeper of Formula 1. And inside the pop-up store, there are 3 speed challenges that you can go take. We're gonna go inside, look at the showcase, look at the pop-up store, and try these 3 games and see how well we do. The first game is a simple reaction time game that we sometimes see drivers play. Honestly, I have terrible reaction time, so playing this myself was quite challenging. Time out. The next game is a classic racing simulator. So I'm here driving a Red Bull around the Shanghai circuit. When I say driving, I mean barely getting the car to stay on track. I know it's just a simulator, but since it is a Red Bull, I'm gonna give my racing driver excuse and say that only Max Verstappen can drive this thing. Rika also gave it a shot, and let's just say we now understand the pain of Red Bull's second driver. The final game is a pit stop tire change, but there's no pit crew, just me alone with this tire. Okay, we just finished those 3 games, and honestly, it's a lot more challenging than I expected. When we're doing the simulator, I think I crashed like 3 or 4 times. When changing the tire, you really underestimate how heavy these Formula 1 tires are. It's so difficult to take them off just by yourself, one person. But when you do the wheel gun and that spinning sound, you get off the wheel nut, it's still super satisfying. I think after these games, I have a newfound respect for the drivers and the pit crews. Their job is so difficult. And this is just a game, a simulator. I can't imagine what it's like doing this under pressure. Of course, other than these pop-up stores with sponsor events, during the race week there are F1 ads everywhere throughout the city, even on the biggest screens. There are even some fan clubs who make videos for their favorite drivers and put them on these screens. As a fan, it's always fun to see F1 take over the city. This year for F1 75, there is a special event at the North One to celebrate Formula 1 and just cars in general. Gotta take a picture with the home hero, Zhou Guanyu. And now that he's a Ferrari reserve driver, gotta put on my little Ferrari hat. There are many supercars on display here too. This one is my favorite, the absolutely stunning Ferrari Roma. To give an objective review though, this festival is not that great. I think it's more for the general public to experience some Formula 1 atmosphere, but not really for F1 fans. Other than some nice freebies you can get, such as this adorable American Express tire plushie, I think this event was not too memorable. So let's see what other fun pop-ups we can find tomorrow. Day 2 in Shanghai, and today is all about the red team. In the past few years, I've been a Tifosi, but this year I think it's better for my mental health to support a different team. After watching the Australian Grand Prix and what happened with this team behind me, I decided this weekend to support Mercedes. But since we are at a show and Ferrari Pop Up, temporarily back to being the Tifosi. I'm gonna put on the Ferrari shirt for the only time this weekend. Hopefully they won't turn into clowns like the last race. We gotta get a podium at least this weekend, right? How hard can it be? The last pop-up we're going to is the Ferrari-themed Ray-Ban store. Here you can drive the simulator or wear Ferrari team kit with Ray-Ban sunglasses to take photo booth pictures. Overall, a fun day with Ferrari. Tomorrow we head to the circuit. Going to the Shanghai circuit is very easy. All you need to do is take the subway line 11. And of course, in the subway, especially at Xujiahui station, there are many ads for Formula 1. Around an hour later, we are finally here. And the day is finally here. We made it into the Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's Friday right now, and this is also a sprint weekend. So we're gonna head to our grandstand number K, and we're here for FP1 right now. I can't believe this is my 4th Chinese Grand Prix already. I won in 2005. That was the second year this event was ever held. And then I went once again in 2010 and 2012. I remember back then Fernando Alonso won the very first race I attended. I knew absolutely nothing about Formula 1 back then. But in 2009, I started really getting into Formula 1, the year that Braun GP had that domination. We've made it to our grandstand. We're nearly at the very top, so the view is actually quite nice. We can see the corner right there, it's super clear. Since it's only Friday practice, there's not too many people. I'm sure it will get more packed during sprint qualifying later in the afternoon. We brought a long lens, a 70-300mm lens, to try and capture all the action. This cap I'm wearing right here is from 2005, the very first race I ever attended, 20 years ago. For you newer fans of Formula 1 out there, you might not even recognize this old logo. We can sort of hear the sound already. The cars are out on track. FP1 is starting. So we just finished watching FP1. Lando Norris got P1, 0.4 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. It's quite a huge gap. But other than the fact that we learned that everybody else is completely screwed except for McLaren, I think personally what I learned is that photographing F1 is so difficult. You pan the camera over, you can barely keep track of the cars. I think out of all the shots I took, maybe only 5% are usable. I really have a newfound respect for these F1 photographers. Now the Porsche Cup testing is starting, and the Porsche is so much louder than the Formula 1 cars. I probably cannot vlog anymore when the Porsches are going around the circuit. The Porsche Carrera Cup is so loud! It's really nice that other than F1, there's also F1 Academy here this weekend. So it gives Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari a chance of winning. I remember last year during F1 Academy, Dorian Pang, Chloe Chambers, and Maya Ward were the only people that were able to beat Abby Pilling, who is no longer here in F1 Academy. So yeah, hopefully one of these teams can win instead of McLaren this weekend. We'll see. On TV, the Academy cars look tiny, but watching them up close in person, they're actually a lot bigger than I expected. So now F1 Academy is starting their qualifying session. We're going to go back to our grandstand and watch. I feel like listening to these F1 Academy cars, they're even louder than Formula 1. Those V6 Formula 1 cars are really so quiet nowadays. F1 Academy qualifying over. For the only time this weekend, we have a Ferrari on pole position. Well, it definitely won't be that case for F1 sprint qualifying. A nice behind the scenes detail you will only see at the circuit is that for all the races other than the F1, the cars actually exit the circuit at the hairpin. And then they drive underneath Grandstand K to get to their smaller pit lane. Not long after, the F1 cars are back on track for sprint qualifying. That is a seriously unbelievable result. Hamilton P1, Verstappen P2, Norris only P5. Tomorrow's gonna be a great day. Surprisingly, we got Lawson in P last. Honestly, they really should have gave that position to Yuki instead.
By Lawson.
I mean, I did not expect Red Bull to do well, but P last, seriously? It's really obvious that here in China, Team LH and the Tifosi are still absolutely crazy. Just walking here at the track, you see the most red. That cheer when he crossed the line in P1 was incredible. He is the most successful driver at the Chinese Grand Prix, so he must do well, right?
Actually, I also support do so. Both result okay for me.
Even though Lewis Hamilton is the most successful driver here in China, out of the 3 Chinese Grand Prix I attended, he did not win any of those 3. It was Alonso, Button, and Rosberg who won the ones I attended. So in that case, I have to attend a race that Lewis Hamilton wins. But I mean, tomorrow you'll see me in a Mercedes shirt, so either way.
Bye.
I remember in the past, there's barely anyone here on Friday. So I think this is already the most energetic Friday crowd I've seen at a Chinese Grand Prix. You can really tell the popularity of Formula 1 has skyrocketed over the years. There's already significantly more people here on the Saturday. I guess this is a very important shirt to have today. And just like originally planned, today I am a Mercedes-AMG Petronas fan. I mean, I don't expect them to win the race, they just need to perform well. I think Hamilton, Verstappen, and McLaren still have a better chance of winning. But either way, go Mercedes, go George Russell, and Kimi Antonelli. Welcome to Sprint Race Day. I think for the first time ever in the Chinese Grand Prix, there's actually a fan stage. We missed all the drivers already because we came too late. But right now, everybody is gathered here to wait for Zhou Guanyu, the home star. We got to the fan stage a little bit too late, so we're barely able to see anything. So in the end, we gave up, but now we're gonna head to our grandstand to wait for the sprint race this morning. We finally get a family of Mercedes supporters rather than Ferrari supporters. As you can hear, I think the cars are starting to make their way onto the grid now. Yes, Lewis. That was still quite an exciting race. This really is a great corner to watch all the overtake. When Piastri overtook Verstappen, when Norris overtook Stroll.
And the 4-car parking lot.
Yeah, that was really strange. Two Formula One cars facing in opposite directions. It just doesn't make sense at all. Today I'm dressed up in George Russell style. In all the promotional photos, George Russell is wearing the black and Antonelli is wearing the white, which also means I gotta do his signature T-pose, right? So before F1 qualifying in the afternoon, there was a GT race and now F1 Academy. After the race, the cars are supposed to go a different way off the circuit, but these two Lotus cars, they sort of made a mistake and they missed their exit. So they had to reverse on the racetrack in order to get out. It was quite funny to watch. F1 Academy race over. There were 3 safety cars in a 15-lap race. Pretty crazy. There's lots of accidents going on. And similar to the Formula One sprint race, there were many accidents here at this hairpin corner. Cars facing in different directions. F1 qualifying up next. Who do you think is getting pole position today?
McLaren still. 但是我的预测一般都是不准的 so I will vote for McLaren.
We got Piastri on pole position. Next to him, George Russell in P2. We did not expect Mercedes to be that fast, even though I'm supporting them this weekend. What a qualifying session that was. That's how a team like McLaren is supposed to win the championship. If Norris does not perform well, Piastri must be there to get pole position. We can never count out Oscar Piastri either. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Red Bull, with Liam Lawson starting in P last again. I feel like at this point, the VCARB drivers don't even want to go to Red Bull anymore because they are outperforming Lawson anyways. George Russell and P2 on the front row. I did not expect that at all. Honestly, I'd say George Russell for the win tomorrow. It's the final day of the Chinese Grand Prix weekend. It is race day. It's actually very, very nerve-wracking. I'm still gonna go with Mr. George Russell. Rika has another idea. She doesn't want to say it out loud because she's afraid she'll jinx it. During F1 week, it's also the Shanghai Auto Festival. And here in the Auto Festival stand, there are also lots of very cute postcards, notebooks, and other souvenirs you can get. And of course, they are a lot cheaper than the F1 souvenirs. This is a notebook with all the Formula One world champions on them. There's actually quite a lot of fun activities to do around this area, but there's always such a long line. Today we came a bit earlier to watch the F1 Academy race, so it's not that crowded yet. and Rika got many cute little stamps. So if you're planning to come to the Chinese Grand Prix, here's a bit to know about the grandstands. Grandstand A is the main grandstand at the pit straight. Obviously, it will have the best atmosphere, but it's also the most expensive. A 3-day ticket will cost you around 3,000 RMB, which is around 400 euros. B grandstand is at turn 1, but there's no covering on B grandstand, and it's also the second most expensive grandstand. So even though you get to see a lot of cool overtakes at turn 1, I don't think it's worth it. I think the most value for your money grandstand is the one that we got at grandstand number K. It costed us 1,480 yuan. You get the super nice overtaking point at the hairpin. And there's also a roof at K grandstand to block out the sun and rain. During the afternoon, the sun directly shines onto the track. It's really beautiful for pictures. So yeah, as you can see from all the action we saw during the past 2 days, I highly recommend Grandstand K if you're going to attend the Chinese Grand Prix. But the cheapest 3-day grandstand ticket here in the Chinese Grand Prix only costs 480 yuan, which is around 60 euros.
These tickets are by far the cheapest F1 tickets you can get in the world. So what's the catch? These are basically general admission tickets where you can access a grass area with no seats. And there are some high fences that obstruct your view. But even with these downsides, you get to experience F1 in person at only 60 euros.
So even though it's on the grass, I think it's still very worth it if you're on a budget. But anyways, we're gonna go up to our K grandstand and watch the race. H grandstand across from the circuit is also okay, but during the afternoon, the sun will directly shine onto H grandstand, so it can get very hot and bright. I'd say most of the overtaking on the track happens over here at this hairpin corner, so that's why K grandstand is so perfect. The grandstand is still quite empty right now for F1 Academy, but I'm sure it will be completely packed for the race in the afternoon.
Our seats are all the way up there, so it's really nice. There's nothing blocking our view.
F1 Academy is about to start, and I'm going to say Dorian Pan for the victory. So who do you think is going to win?
Maya, of course. Pole to win.
And once again, there's a safety car on the first lap of F1 Academy. But at least Dorian Pan was able to overtake Maya Wood for the lead. Photographing this F1 Academy race is good practice for the actual Formula 1 race because these cars are a little bit slower, but they can also follow each other a little bit closer, so it's actually quite fun to take pictures of as well. Dorian Pan gave us the first Mercedes victory of the day. Will George also be able to repeat it in the afternoon? Let's find out soon. Around the F1 circuit, there are also lots of sponsor events, and you can claim little free gifts. We got this basketball keychain from Aramco, and a pin from Lenovo, and also a hat from Lenovo. There are many more events around the circuit where you can get freebies, but most of them you have to take part in some sort of game or activity. And of course, the line is super long. So right now, we're gonna head back to our grandstand and watch the driver's parade. So the driver's parade is over, and even though Zhou Guangyu is not racing this year, he still got special treatment. He was on the back of a Roma Spider, and everybody was just cheering his name, chanting his name when he came by. The local kid is still the most popular driver in the crowd, 100%. the whole driver's parade actually went by very quickly, so we weren't really able to see the drivers, but it's still a nice touch. I heard that last year, for some reason, the driver's parade was cancelled, so everybody was super disappointed. There's still around 1 hour until race start. I'm already so excited. I feel like overall the atmosphere here at the Chinese Grand Prix is really nice. It's already way more energetic than when I last came in 2012, more than 10 years ago. Obviously, if you want the best energy at the Chinese Grand Prix, you gotta go to Grandstand A. That's where all the different fan groups have special zones. The biggest fan group here in China is definitely Team LH, and Charles Leclerc is probably second, Max Verstappen probably third. I feel like overall the people who attend the race are not just passionate about Formula One, they're also passionate about racing in general. When the F1 Academy is racing, when the Porsche Cup is racing, there are cheers whenever there's an overtake. People still clap for a driver whenever they retire just to cheer them on. And of course, when the two Chinese drivers come, Shi Wei for F1 Academy and Zhou Guanyu, even though he's not racing, the cheers are absolutely wild. Trust me, the fans here are just as passionate as any other country around the world. And the event we've all been waiting for, the race is about to start. Piastri. And that's the end of the Chinese Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri P1, Lando Norris P2, and George Russell P3. So I guess Oscar Piastri won 1/16 of his home race.
I will support Oscar for the rest of the season. Yes.
I think in the end, even if your favorite driver or team doesn't win, attending a Formula One event live is still an awesome experience. This is the second time when I attended a Formula One race where McLaren got a 1-2. Back in 2010, Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton also got a 1-2 for McLaren. And if you want to attend a relatively affordable F1 race, I say relatively affordable because no F1 race is cheap. The Chinese Grand Prix is still a great place to come to. It's really easy to get to from the city center because you can just take the subway and you get some great overtaking action as well. After the race, we made our way to the main grandstand. The view here still is really nice. You get the podium view, you get the pit lane. Look at all these Charles Leclerc flags on the main grandstand. So at the end of the race, of course, you gotta have some Heineken, the sponsor of the Chinese Grand Prix. Cheers to next year and cheers to the rest of the F1 season. Hopefully McLaren doesn't win every single race. Forza Ferrari, please don't fail this weekend.